Ho, 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 ho! I feel good today. What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Early Wedge, part of the Early Edge universe. Every single week, 3 p.m. Eastern, live on Tuesdays, we break down whatever the event is on the PGA Tour, the only real tour in the United States. Now, this week, these are weeks that you really need us, just like every other week, but it's a unique event. It's the only team event on the entire regular season schedule. It's a Zurich Classic in the Big Easy, New Orleans. And last week's winner, Matthew Fitzpatrick, who defied the odds and beat Jordan Spieth in 3 holes of sudden death playoff. He'll be playing this week with his brother Alex, a lot of other big-time teams. But how do we break it all down? Well, you know I've got the absolute best in the business. Let's bring in the stars of the show. First and foremost, I see somebody in the chat says, oh, I can't wait for Sia's first-round leaders. Lead me to the promised land. Counselor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Very excited. Different format, so maybe a few less bets from me, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. We have some value in this tournament. I think the group format is actually really interesting just to see if maybe some of these poor players or players coming in with poor form can maybe improve their form as a result of their partner, as a result of their groupings. We'll talk about that, but I'm excited about this one.
I'm excited about it too because, sometimes, Sia, when you why are you laughing already? I'm just doing your introduction right now. I mean, it's all serious all the time. See it sometimes when you start ahead of the game, where like you start at the start line, but you're already kind of ahead, like $100 ahead. You know what I'm saying? That's how I feel today, ladies and gentlemen. The very man who paid me on Sunday, right on time, Patrick McDonald. Good afternoon, sir.
Fantastic introduction there, Coach. Thank you very much. A very punctual individual myself, and I'm in the same boat as Sia. Maybe a few less bets, but mostly because I would need to be led to the promised land as well. So I'm excited to follow along, Sia, Coach's picks. They've been red hot, and I'm just trying to, round it out.
Do not underrate yourself. You're an absolute savage. So here are the numbers that we care about. These are the numbers to win. Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, they are the defending champions last year in record-setting fashion, 29 under par. And you wonder, why are the odds so low? Plus 300? Well, remember, it's 80 teams. It's not 156 players. 80 teams, the top 33 in ties. So they had to bring the odds down. But we got you. We got you. So, gentlemen, let's start. Storylines that could affect the betting lines today. And we're going to start right there at the top. Patrick McDonald, Cantlay, and Xander. There's a reason they got it done last year. There is a secret sauce to being successful this week. Talk to me.
Well, first off, they're best friends. They vacation in Napa Valley together. They're squashing grapes. It kind of looks like Patrick Cantlay's putting routine from time to time. And then you look at last year when they shot 29 under. They set the 18, 36, 54, and 72 hole scoring record in the Zurich Classic. Cantlay is first in total strokes gained over the last 3 months. Number 2, Xander Schauffele. They are only the second team in the event history to both be ranked inside the top 5. Last time that happened was last year with Colin Morikawa and Victor Hovland. They ended up finishing T29, but with Xander and Patrick, playing all these Ryder Cups together, President's Cups together, the consistency and chemistry that they have, it's really hard to look past them.
It really is. And when you talk about in form, last week on Sunday, Xander right there, Patrick right there, all the way to the end. But see, this week, that's not necessarily the case with a lot of other teams.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Well, first of all, they're like plus 300, plus 400. It's one of those things where we're almost forced to look past them because those numbers are just so prohibitive to bet, which is why I'm looking at guys like Homa and Morikawa, for example, and all the way down the line to like Billy Horschel and Sam Burns. The reality is some of those guys I just mentioned aren't playing very well. Billy Horschel for one, Max Homa for another. These guys are coming in with quite bad form relative to, let's say, a few months ago in Max Homa's case. So I'm really curious to see if some of these guys, as a result of group play, as a result of being paired up, and I'm talking about the Tom Hoagies of the world too, the Adam Hadwins, the Keith Mitchells, will they bounce back just as a result of the different format? And I think the answer to some of these is yes.
I think when you play in a team format, it can take certainly a lot of pressure off of you. And kind of what I wanted to press into this week is which player or players are going to be those that Rory McIlroy was talking about, that Jon Rahm is trying to make play better, because there's been so much discussion, I guess, as far as the elevated events and certain players making more money and getting into those. And Rory basically said, play better. The scores will get you in. This is one of those weeks. Play better. Get the FedEx Cup points. Jump up the list. And then all of a sudden, when you get to the playoffs and you get to next year, look whose name is up there. So just play better. Who will that be this week? That's my question. All right. So as you guys know who watch this show every single week, we do it all. For those of you who are brand new, welcome. We do DFS, we do first round leaders, we do head to heads, we do winners, and we do long shots. So we've got you covered top to bottom, left to right. So we're starting with DFS. Give me 3 that we're playing and give me a fade. Counselor, let's start with you.
I'm sorry. I did want to point out, though, at the beginning of the show, you mentioned, it would be so nice to be up $100 right off the bat. I got to be honest, I was a little confused because it turns out you were talking about your showdown with Patrick, and I should have known that because if you had put $1 on my long shot first round leader, you'd have actually been up $110 by Friday morning. So just want to point that out. Everybody wait for the end of the show because sometimes we throw a couple plays out there that might end up being important to your wallet and your bank account. Something to consider. Okay, the DFS plays. Let's start with Denny McCarthy and Joel Dahman. We've been talking about Coach you specifically, and actually last week, Patrick, you about Denny McCarthy really picking up his game. I really like what I'm seeing with Denny McCarthy. What's so ironic about him is the putter has actually been a little shaky for him, which I'm really not worried about. We know he's a great putter, but it's the ball striking that's really coming on with him. And if you look at Joel Dahman, his putter's actually kind of gone bad, but if you look at his ball striking and his around the green game, it's actually pretty good. I think this is a sneaky pair, perhaps on the rise, and I think it's a good pairing too. Chesson Hadley and Ben Martin. I've been on Ben Martin for quite some time. I had him in the top 40 market last week. He actually finished 41st, partly because on the last 3 holes, he was plus 10 over the course of the 4 days. He just couldn't figure out those 16, 17, and 18. If not for that, he would have been 16 under if he had just parred all those holes. Pretty crazy. But I really like his game right now. And Hadley is one of those guys that can pop. So at 8,000 in DFS, knowing that their ownership's not going to be super high because of the Chesson Hadley factor, I'm willing to take a chance there. And then finally at 7,900, Olesen and Højgaard have actually probably enjoying a misprice right here. And it's only because we haven't seen a lot of them on the PGA Tour. We've seen both of them significantly on the Euro Tour being really, really good, borderline dominant. And it's Højgaard who's come over to the PGA Tour recently and been pretty good. I think he has a T28 and a second place over at Corrales since he's been over here. I love the ball striking. I love the metrics. And in this field, as watered down as it is, especially in this 7K and 6K range, these guys could absolutely shine. So love the price for those guys. The fade here is Tom Hoge and Harris English. If you look at their form coming in, man, you'd think Tom Hoge would probably still be okay with the ball striking. It's just not the case. And Harris English has been very bad with the ball striking. This is a bad combination. That's my fade at $8,800.
I'm shocked that you didn't go back to the QBE shootout to do your handicapping with Harris English. He's been great in December in team competitions, but not in April. Not in April. By the way, Counselor, Joe in the chat said he put $1.50 on Aaron Rodgers last week to win. Not $1, $1.50.
That'll work.
That'll work. By the way, Michael in the chat, where are you? Where are you? He says, I've been blessed. One on Koepka a week before winning RD and Rye this past weekend. Thanks to these guys. Tell you all the time, not everything's going to hit, but if you hit enough like we do, you're going to be in the profit. So we love that you come here, especially live, to hear all of the explanations. So we've got Cias. Patrick, give me 3. You like? Give me a fade.
Sounds like Joe's buying drinks at happy hour tonight or something. I don't know, but I'll get into mine here with some 7K darlings, and it's Will Gordon and Davis Thompson, 2 young guns. They play together all the time out there in Sea Island, Georgia, not too far away from TP Louisiana, and they have tremendous scoring upside. Both of their statistical profiles are rather similar, extremely long off the tee, can get extremely hot with the putter as well. And you're going to need that this week. Cantlay and Xander got to 29 under last week. So I think they'll thrive in the 4-ball. And I'm kind of just hoping they hang on for dear life in the foursomes, the alternate shot format, and don't give up too much to the field. So I like them too at 7,600. And then Scott Stallings and Trey Mullinax, I think they're very compatible. Stallings has a great iron play. Mullinax extremely long off the tee. His putter has been pretty poor lately, but when I see kind of how they attack TPC Louisiana, I like the makeup of it. So at 7,400, that's a buy. And then this is, in my mind, the biggest missed price is Ben On and SH Kim at 7,100. Yes. Ben On hasn't missed a cut in 2003. He's coming off a T6 at the Texas Open. He has learned how to putt. He's playing with his good friend SH Kim, who's coming off a great finish at Valero as well. On his 24th in total strokes gained this year. S.H. Kim is 41st. So you're getting 2 top 40 players in a field of 160 at $7,100. And then I know, guys, it's Max Homa, social media darling, Colin Morikawa, the perfect guy. There's nothing wrong with him. But at 10-9, I just don't love their fit together. Morikawa came into this tournament last year, arguably in better form, with a more compatible partner in Victor Hovland, who's tremendous off the tee and great on the greens. They ended up finishing T29. I'm concerned about Morikawa's putter. I'm concerned about Homa's driving. So at 10-9, it's an easy pass for me.
So, Sia, do you notice the next level handicapping right there from Patrick? He went back 20 years, 2003. For Ben on not to miss a cut. That's next level kind of stuff, Patrick.
Did I say 2003?
20 straight years without missing a cut. You'd think he'd be priced higher.
Amazing.
It's just disrespectful.
It's amazing. You're better than I ever thought you could be, Patrick. By the way, Michael in the chat said he signed up for a year at SportsLine last night. And Sia, you sent him the link. Is that true?
That is true. He sent me a really nice message about following our picks. Coach, he mentioned you specifically, and he asked for the link. And listen, you can go to sportsline.com and catch the link, but I'm happy to provide it for you too. And Michael, thank you for signing up. I think you're really going to enjoy it, because what people don't know, Coach, is that there's so much to SportsLine beyond the picks. I mean, if you actually go on the site and read the articles, look at the picks, look at the DFS information, it is truly next level. I cannot believe what the price is. And I'm saying that as a fan, not as somebody who does this show.
No, somebody who is prominently featured, just like Patrick is, and just like AB is, and AB is in the chat. If you have any questions about SportsLine, signing up, what you get there, AB is the man. He runs our brand, and he connects us with SportsLine. We're one and the same. Any questions, go ahead and ask him. He will answer them in real time. Patrick, go.
And we have great editors on the site. So if I say 2003, they'll just change it to 2023. So definitely sign up.
Right now, Snake is like, tell him to shut up. I have enough work to do already. All right. So that's our DFS. Coming up in just a couple of weeks, though, I am fired up because we're going to go 4 wide. We're bringing back Steve Scott for our next major, which is what, Snake?
Golf's biggest stars descend on Oak Hill for one unforgettable major. The PGA Championship, coming in May to CBS.
You're damn right it is. Now, Big Cheesy said, I scrolled through the experts, and I don't see Coach. I have my own section all by myself. It's so hard that most people can't even find it. You got to earn it. I'll let you know where it is later. Don't even worry about it. Now, last week, and this is something that kind of irks me, I'll be honest with you. When Sia or Patrick give out a first-round leader, and literally it's either going to be a 40-1 or a 110-1. Those are your two options. And Sia gave you both. But yet, because Aaron Rye was at the end of the show, and a lot of you are too lazy to wait until the end of the show, you didn't get Aaron Rye. So you blamed us. I'm not having it. Watch until the end of the show. That's why we put the show together the way that it is. It was there. Everything's on video. Everything's documented. Don't tell us we didn't give it out, because we did. All right, rant over. Let's cash another one this week. Sia, where are we going?
All right, we're going to start with a team I don't want to bet in the outright market because they're just so low at plus 300 in most places at this point. But in the first round leader market, I think there's still some value, especially when you consider in this tournament with two guys on each team and knowing the format on the first day, which is 4-ball, which is, everybody hits their own ball and, you basically take the best score on each hole. I think Schauffele and Cantlay are pretty live for first round leader relative to what a regular tournament would be, because they can play off each other. And there's not a lot of duos that have two guys that are this elite. So it's just one of those things where I'd rather exploit them on the 18-hole sample size, just because on the 72-hole sample size, it's just such a low betting number. So I'll start with Schauffele and Cantlay at plus 1,000. Sungjae Im and Keith Mitchell, I do like at plus 2,000, 20-1. The problem is Mitchell hasn't been very good lately, but this is a pretty good course fit for him. And if he can just turn it around a little bit, we know Sungjae is no stranger to being high up on the scoreboard in first round. So I think this is a really interesting team to target in the first round leader market. And then Denny McCarthy and Joel Damon, I mentioned them earlier. I think this is a team that can get hot, especially if McCarthy gets hot with the putter and with the ball striking. I think Damon, listen, a couple of years ago, Damon was one of those guys that was really a top first-round leaderboards quite often, and then he kind of fell off. I think the game might be coming back a bit. 35-1, those are pretty good odds.
I actually, his caddy was a part of my PGA Tour Live a couple of weeks ago. He actually came on and he said his dream for his birthday was to call live golf for PGA Tour Live. I said, hey, I make dreams come true. Let's do it. So we brought him on, and he said that their popularity has exploded because of Full Swing and the entire episode. So I think Joel Damon could use that to play well this week, the confidence that he needs, and Denny McCarthy can certainly help. Now, remember, these guys bring up a good point. Thursday, Saturday is 4-ball, meaning the lowest score. You're going to see 9, 10s, 11 unders. Friday and Sunday, a really good score is perhaps 3 to 5 under. It's a completely different bet Thursday. Remember that. Patrick, you're up.
Yeah, only one first-round leader pick for me this week, Coach, because let's be honest, I wanted to add some Asias. So we're going to go with Kurt Kitayama and Taylor Montgomery at 33-1. Taylor Montgomery is one of the best putters in the world. He consistently gains like 2 to 3 strokes on the greens. When you think about 4-ball, that's going to be perfect. He'll make, his fair share of bogeys there, maybe 3 or 4 of them, but potentially up to 8 birdies. And then you combine that with Kurt Kitayama, who we just saw win the Arnold Palmer Invitational, where he got off to a very fast start there as well. Tremendous ball striker, extremely long off the tee, can get to each of these par 5s and 2 easily. And he's one of the best putters from outside 25 feet, which is, kind of a weird stat. But when you think about eagle putts, birdie chances, that's going to come in handy for you. So those two at 33-1 for me.
Very interesting. That's kind of a nice number, too, for those two guys. Very under the radar. Kitayama fought off all the big boys at the API. By the way, Taylor says it's honestly why I tune in live. I get most of the picks notified from the sub, meaning all the picks are on SportsLine way before the show starts. He goes, but the Early Edge fam is what keeps me tuning in live. That's what we're all about, Taylor. Everybody's included. Nobody's excluded. Keep spreading the word. We want everybody here. Everybody. Now, I've allowed Sia and Patrick to dominate the show long enough. It's time for me to get involved in what we like to call our bread and butter. It's not sexy. It's not necessarily the most fun bet, but this is where you make your money. Head-to-head matchups, tournaments, and then my guys always routinely give them out round 1, round 2, round 3 on the Early Edge Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So, Patrick, we're going to start with you. Head-to-heads. Talk to me, sir. Talk to me.
All right, we're going with the favorites, the defending champions, Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, -165 over Homa and Morikawa. This line's completely different elsewhere, where I found this at DraftKings. So if you're going to play it from there, it definitely has the best price. And look, Cantlay's #1 in this field in total strokes gained over the last 3 months. Xander Schauffele's #2. You think alternate shot. They have plenty of experience in that format. Cantlay's #1 off the tee during that time frame. Xander Schauffele's #1 in approach during that time frame. Just a beautiful blend of skill sets, extremely consistent, no flaws in their game over Max Homa, who I'm concerned about off the tee. His ball striking has been pretty poor since the Florida swing. And then Colin Morikawa, I just can't trust his putter at the moment. So at -165, I'm willing to go to the favorites in that one. And then Beau Hossler and Wyndham Clark +105 over Justin Suh and Sahith Theegala. Hossler and Clark might be my favorite team this week. Clark's really flying under the radar. He is 6th in this field in total strokes gained over the last 3 months, 5th from tee to green. Beau Hossler is long off the tee. He can roll the rock with the best of them. They play out in Scottsdale all the time with each other, so they know each other's game quite well. And then Justin Suh, I do have my concerns about, and I understand the name of Theegala, the pageantry. He plays great when he's in the spotlight, but I just think they're a bit overvalued in this spot. So give me the underdogs, Hossler and Clark at +105.
Sia, do you feel like Patrick, just that last bet, he talked a little bit longer to kind of convince himself that was the play?
I've heard him talk about that bet just a few minutes ago. So no, I think listen, I kind of agree with him there. I actually saw that bet. I almost took it. I decided to fade those two a different way, but Coach, I see what you're saying. At least I see what you're saying.
All right, we'll put a pin in that, which I believe was the same thing I said a week ago before I just slammed the hammer down. Now, I'm going to go next. Burns Horschel over Montgomery Kitayama. Burns and Horschel are the team. Outside of Xander and Patrick Cantlay, they're the team. And I know Horschel has not been in form. I get that. But when he shows up here, every single year, when it was a singles tournament, he won here. He won it, and he's played great as a team. He plays great here. That's who he is. Then Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim. Are you kidding me? Over Sanjay and Keith Mitchell. I'll take that all day. Then, of course, Justin Suh, who many of you may not know. He was a stud coming off the Korn Ferry Tour just a season ago. I love him this week. The attitude, the charisma, the swag with Sahith Theegala all day, every day. So there's not a better time than right here and right now. Patrick McDonald, once again, are you in or are you out?
Coach wins one showdown, and all of a sudden he's talking a big game. Let's not forget about the 4 or 5 prior to that. Coach, of course I'm in.
It's gonna be a showdown.
Ooh, 4 or 5? 4 or 5?
It was probably 4. Maybe. Maybe 3.
All right, so we got one showdown so far, but we're always looking for more. See you, Nejad. Talk to me on your head-to-heads.
Anyone catch Patrick McDonald just doing Madonna's Vogue? Because I did.
It's my go-to. It killed in Charleston, South Carolina.
You did not say that's your go-to. Madonna
Kills.
Vogue. Kills?
Oh, Coach, I'll take you out on night on town. You play that puppy, forget about it.
I believe it. That was very good.
I do believe it too. I do.
Seamless. Okay, maybe he's one of her backup dancers. Who knows? Okay, so listen, I'll start with Olesen and Højgaard, who I've already talked about. A plus 100 over Tom Hoge and Harris English. This is a case of two guys kind of on the rise versus two guys that are both playing poorly. Listen, if Hoge or English were in good form, then I'd probably say this is a stay away because there's enough of an unknown with Olesen and Højgaard that I wouldn't be 100% sure, given that a lot of their stuff has been on the European Tour. But I really like the course fit for both of these guys, for one, versus Hoge and English's course fit. But I love how poorly Hoge and English are playing when it comes to this matchup. So I'll take the plus money. And then Siwoo Kim and Tom Kim, minus 122 over Sahith and Suh. Again, I think Suh is really kind of dragging this team down a little bit. I do think he has upside. We just saw his upside about a month ago when he was contending, and he does have rounds here and there where he really flashes, but it hasn't looked very good. And I still want to play the idea that Sahith can be kind of up and down. Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim, I see them a little bit more consistent than this team, so I like this number, minus 122. And then finally, so Patrick brought this up, and it's really important to point out because his play, minus 165 over Homa and Morikawa, is on DraftKings. I saw that play. I didn't like it one way or the other. But then when I went over to FanDuel, which is where this pick is and where the Tom Kim and Siwoo Kim pick are, the first one is over on DraftKings, it was minus 235. In other words, Cantlay and Schauffele were minus 235, which of course made Morikawa and Homa plus 180. That's just not an appropriate number. The appropriate number is what we saw on DraftKings. But if I'm going to get plus 180 for two superstars in my book, Homa and Morikawa, and I can actually at least envision the idea that they both play well, and Cantlay and Schauffele maybe are just down after consecutive events where they were contending and playing really well. Maybe they're just a little tired. I don't know. But at plus 180, I'm willing to find out. Give me Morikawa. Give me Homa.
Well, my question to you, C, is after everything you just said, I know it's plus 180, but if you're confident in a pick, then I would think that you would challenge somebody else right here, right now.
And you would be wrong because I specifically just said that I'm not playing the players, I'm playing the number. At a certain point, the number actually forces your hand, which is why I wouldn't enjoy a showdown there. And it's the same reason I wouldn't take this play on DraftKings. I would not take this play on DraftKings. I would only take this play on FanDuel because of the price.
Why do you have to be so good all the time? Damn it. Why can't you get sucked in like I want you to be? All right. So one showdown, but phenomenal information. Educate, entertain. You know the drill. So we've now arrived. And my boys are really good at these too. So Patrick's going to sit this one out. It's not, oh, no. You are playing this week, Patrick. So I'm going to let you go. This is very rare for us. You do have you said you were all in on this team. So you are all in. Who do you like in the finishing position market?
Give me Bo Hostler and Wyndham Clark plus 100 for a top 20. So they only have to beat 60 teams. I love it. I love their skill sets together, blended together, both formats, the 4-ball and the foursomes. And I believe this one's on FanDuel as well. It's minus 140 elsewhere. So give me the plus money for two guys who I think have real winning upside.
Okay. And remember that a top 20 this week, there's only 80 teams. Only 80 teams, so it's very different. So you're going to see some numbers that maybe don't make sense, but they do in a team format. I'm going to have Nick Taylor, Adam Hadwin, very under the radar. Nick Taylor's playing great this year. I think he can carry Adam Hadwin along plus 125. Then I actually do like Harris English and Tom Hoge. I know these guys hate them this week. Harris English, when you get in the team format, is a really good, solid player. So I'm going to throw a little flyer on him. And then Denny McCarthy, Joel Damon. I agree with Sia. I think they're going to have a really good week as well. And then I think Colin Morikawa and Max Homan, I would be shocked if they're not fighting for the victory come Sunday. So give me a top 10 to protect that just a little bit. Sia, talk to me.
Yeah, staying pretty consistent here with two teams I've talked about. I think these are reasonable numbers in the top 20 market. Just to conceptualize this a little bit better, just because it sounds like abstract top 20. So the top 33 in ties making it into the weekend, that's kind of an important note. So you're going to have maybe 35, 36-ish teams because of the ties, maybe more. But the point is, we just have to have these teams, all of these top 20 teams, fall in basically to the top 60% when it's all said and done because again, we're not talking top 65 in ties, we're talking top 33 in ties. So there's more of a margin of error after you make the cut, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. But I absolutely could see both of these teams in the 5 to 15 range in terms of where they end up sitting at the end. And we're getting really good plus numbers. So again, for my two, you only need to hit one and you could lose the other one and you would still be up, obviously.
That is such great advice for those of you who are brand new to golf betting, or maybe even if you're a veteran. Sometimes you look at it and say, oh, I don't want to lose one. But look at it and say, am I still making money? And if you are, then it's okay to lose one. It's okay. But most people don't like doing that. But it's such, yeah, go ahead, Sia.
Can I just say one other thing? When it comes for me, I just want people to know, this is sort of how I bet. When it comes to the top 20 and the top 40 market, for example, it can vary in terms of my unit size. I'm more inclined to put a full unit on a top 40 bet than a top 20 bet. That's a risk aversion thing. But I do want to say, especially in this tournament, if you wanted to kind of take your full unit bet down to 0.75 or 0.5, because this is a slightly different format, I wouldn't hate that play. I just so you know, I'm putting a full unit on my head-to-head bets because that's what I always do. And the real thing I wanted to clarify is top 20, top 40 for me is usually like half of what I would put on a head-to-head matchup. It's not a full unit for me.
There you go. Knowledge is power, ladies and gentlemen. Write it down. You can't remember everything. All right. We've now arrived at my favorite part of the show, because when you can accurately predict a winner in golf, there is no better feeling than that. And we came a lip out away from cashing another ticket last week, courtesy of the counselor and Jordan Spieth. But alas, that didn't happen. Matthew Fitzpatrick, tip of the cap. So who is going to get the job done this week? Sia, we're going to start with you, sir.
Coach, I thought it was you that had Jordan Spieth last week, but maybe I'm wrong.
I guess it was me.
I think it was you. I don't think it was me.
It was
me.
It was me.
Yeah.
I was just trying to give you credit. If you saw what Kyle Porter tweeted with respect to the Jordan Spieth putt that was tracking and it was 1 foot away and it looked like it was going straight in the middle and then just died because he didn't have enough pace on it, I guess. Man, it sure seems like he should have won that. But my winners are Morikawa and Homa. This is more a number play than it is anything else. Do I think they're better than Cantlay and Schauffele? No. Do I think they can be better? Yes. And that's why at plus 900, I think it's a fair number. Horschel, Burns, Coach, you spelled it out really well. I think this is a really good format for Horschel. If he can be half the player that he normally is in this tournament, and if Sam Burns stays red hot with the ball striking and the putter, this team could absolutely contend. So this is a very fair number. We're getting a fair number, let's be honest, because Billy Horschel's been very bad lately. So it's just something to point out. This is one of those that could go very much sideways. So that's why this play is an outright bet for me. And I don't have them, for example, in the top 20 market, because it's a crash and burn or it's a win the darn thing. Olsen and Højgaard at plus 3,500. We talked about why I think there's upside there. It's a stretch to say they're going to win, but because we don't know exactly where their upside is capped, I think 35-1 is a fair number. All right. 3 really good picks. By the way, the chat backing me up. It was me. That's how good I was last week. I didn't even remember I had him. I bet him, but I didn't remember I had him on the show. See, I just said, got to write it down. All right, Patrick, speaking of sideways, if Hostler and Clark do not play well this week, your entire week is going to go sideways. Explain yourself at plus 2,800.
It's been going that way recently, Coach. So the new format, teams, this is the time to get off the schneid. And look, it's kind of like Sia just said, it's going to be a crash and burn week. He said it for Horschel and Burns. I'm going to say it for Hostler, Clark, and potentially my rent next month. But I like them at 28-1. I don't know if I need to say much more about this team. Hostler and Clark can both roll the rock with the best of them. The scoring upside is definitely there. Clark has been tremendous in the ball striking categories. You get Bo Hostler off the tee, extremely long, accurate, underrated as a driver. I like this team at 28-1.
All right. I'm going to be keeping my eye on them. I'm giving you three, kind of like what Sia did, from three different price points. Morikawa and Homoclero, I mean, two of the best players in golf right now. And you put them together, if they get on a roll, I mean, nobody's going to be able to stay with them. Justin Suh and Theegala. The reason I gave you them is because Theegala, when he's starting to show that his game's getting better and better and better, and Justin Suh is really talented. He finished at the top of the Korn Ferry Tour rankings last year, and at plus 2,000, I think nobody's going to be paying attention to them. It could be very easy for them to get into contention. Then we would see what happens. Then Denny McCarthy, Joel Damon, same type of situation, the plus 3,500. All right, final segment of the show. And for those of you watching live, coming up in 25 minutes, our next Early Edge live show, Early Edge in 5 at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So stay tuned for that. But in our long shot section, we can put anything in there, really long odds, anything that my guys want that doesn't fit into the other categories. So, Patrick, what are you leaning into in our long shot category, sir?
There are a lot of ways I could have gone with this when I was looking at Zach Johnson, Steve Stricker, 175-1, a pair of Ryder Cup captains here. But I settled on Davis Thompson and Will Gordon at 70-1. Like I said during the DFS segment, these two play a ton of golf together there in Sea Island, Georgia, where they play the RSM Classic. Thompson's dad's actually the tournament director there, but not to get into that. But ton of scoring upside. They're both really long off the tee, can find a hot flat stick every now and again. And I think they're just perfect for this type of format with the familiarity with each other's game.
I agree. See ya. Scott Piercy and Ryan Palmer, huh?
Familiarity with winning this tournament. So before this was a paired event, before it was a team event, which, 6 years ago and longer, it was just a normal PGA Tour event. And both of these guys won it. So something to consider. They're very familiar with this course, but also familiar with winning on this course. I actually think it's a good pairing too. This is a first round leader play, just to be specific here, because I don't think they can win this thing outright. But for those of you that have been betting golf as long as I do, you know that Piercy and Palmer are OGs when it comes to the first round leader. And now they get to play together in a tournament that they've each won before when it was a singles event. Really like this play, plus 5,500. Listen, it probably belongs to guys like Xander and guys like Cantlay, or maybe even Mitchell, Sungjae. But these two guys have a shot, in my opinion.
There's no doubt about it. Can you guys tell me who has the longest betting odds? Which team in this tournament? Think legends.
David Duval, John Daly.
David Duval and John Day. You want to sprinkle a little bit and root for those guys? I wouldn't hate it. It's like, I think they're like 150-1, something like that. It's like something crazy. Now, John Daly he just won a tournament with his son. His son's a stud at Arkansas. So I wouldn't bet him here. I'm just saying, you want to sprinkle a little? You can shock the world. All right. I do not have anything in this segment. So, boys, another great show. But we like to end every one of our shows asking my guys, what's the number one most important thing they're looking forward to this week? You can use it this week or use the knowledge into the future. Patrick McDonald, what are you looking at this week?
I think the big thing for me is if Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay get off to a slow start, they're actually better in the alternate shot or foursome format throughout their careers in the President's Cup and Ryder Cup. And they put together the record-setting score here in the second round in 2022. So even if they get off to a slow start and four ball, say they're 2 or 3 shots behind, don't expect them to go away. They're going to be right there till the very end and probably separate themselves in the alternate shot.
All right. See ya. Talk to me.
Yeah, and if they get off to a slow start, you might want to consider live betting them at some point Thursday evening or Friday afternoon, depending on how slow the start is. But I'm really looking forward to seeing which teams actually are contesting in this thing, because last year, if you recall, we had Hovland and Morikawa as a team. And I think everybody I think they were the betting favorite. Everybody thought, well, they're just going to coast through this thing because they're clearly the best two golfers. Well, we know that's not exactly how golf works. So I think there are going to be some teams contending. Hopefully it's some of the teams that we've talked about, but I think it's going to be really interesting down the stretch. I don't think Xander and Cantley are just going to pull away from this thing. And then on Sunday, it's just going to be a formality. We're going to have some players in here, some teams in here fighting.
Agreed with that. My one thing I'm looking forward to is my Twitter. And who of you is going to be the first one to tweet at me on Friday and say, Coach, this team didn't do anything in the foursomes? We told you. Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, completely different betting. Watch the early edge. We'll have you covered, but do not tweet at me and tell me that, oh, those two guys did nothing when they were doing alternate shot. It's different. So be very, very careful and be very, very smart. So, gentlemen, as always, I appreciate your time and your effort, your candor, and your expertise. But with all that being said, we've done all the damage that we can do right now. There's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these Zurich Classic tickets straight to the pay window. For my entire crew, Lobo, Patrick McDonald, the counselor, the Snake, doing all the hard work, making the show look great. How about the graphics? Give it up for Snake. How about Snake in the chat? And on your way out, don't forget to hit that like button. It helps the show grow. Remember, we grind for you so we can win with you. It's what we're all about at the Early Wedge. Good luck.